Stop.
Who is this? Who the this?
Past tense when I was working at fish factory, Joe.
Past tense? How fast?
Don't we know that the baby would have been here though? Like, be real. Like, why money? And they literally in my DM right now. When the have been lied about what?
When you said, I didn't took 10 bros, how y'all doing this?
But what's this right here?
That argument you just heard?
That's Blueface and Jaden Alexis, mother of his first 2 kids, going at each other raw, unfiltered, and ugly. He's accusing, she's confronting. And before this night ends, somebody's in handcuffs. Blueface walked out of prison on November 3rd, 2025, 21 months behind bars, and within weeks, he's back in the system, back on the news ticker, back with a mugshot. And this time, it's not Chrisean Rock. This time, it's Jaden Alexis' baby mama number 1, mother of Javon and Journey, the woman who held it down quietly, raised his kids alone, and who the internet always called the stable one. Blueface put his hands on Jaden Alexis, and now it is over.
From the 8 News Now investigators, rapper Blueface once again behind bars.
Let me break this down from the jump because this story goes way deeper than one argument clip. First, let's establish who Jaden Alexis actually is, because too many people treat her like a background character when she has always been the main one. Jaden and Blueface, real name Jonathan Jamal Porter, go all the way back to high school. These are not industry hookups. They grew up together. By the time Blueface blew up off Thotiana in 2018, Jaden was already ride or die, already carrying his child. Their son Javon J. Porter was born in 2019. Their daughter Journey came later. She is not some new situation, she is the original, the one who was there before the money, before the fame, before any of this became a circus. And here's what separates Jaden from everything else in Blueface's story: she was always the composed one. While Chrisean Rock was going live with bloody faces and busted lips, Jaden was in the studio, building her career on the Baddies franchise, raising 2 kids alone. She told the Shade Room directly that domestic violence is serious and should never be taken lightly, and when asked if she'd ever experienced it at Blueface's hands, she said no. That was 2023. Now here's where the real story starts, the financial dynamic sitting underneath everything. When Blueface turned himself in January 2024, he gave Jaden $90,000 before starting his sentence, with an arrangement she'd return $30,000. That money never came back. Jaden's side? The agreement changed when his sentence got extended. She had 2 kids, a household, and 0 consistent income from him. She did what she had to do. But Blueface's response wasn't understanding, it was control. He reportedly demanded she join the Zeus Network's Baddies show and send her entire paycheck straight to his commissary account. She said no. She told him that money was for their children. This is April 2026, this information is fresh. Jaden went on record publicly because she is done protecting this man's image while he drains her dry. And before someone runs to the comments with, well, she chose to be with him, listen closely, because controlling a relationship never starts with a fist. It starts with finances. It starts with, I'll handle the money and you don't need to work, I got us. Then the second the power shifts, the second he's locked up and she's the one with income, suddenly she owes him, suddenly her. Paycheck belongs to him, even though he's not in that house, not raising those kids, not paying a single bill. That's not a business arrangement. That's leverage. That's a man reaching through prison walls trying to control something he can no longer physically touch. And Jaden, who is not naive, who has been navigating Blueface since high school, finally drew the line. She kept the money. She kept her bag. She kept her dignity. And that refusal is exactly what started the countdown to this arrest, because men like this do not take no well, especially from a woman they feel like they own. Now, go back and listen to that argument clip with all of this context. That's not a first fight. That's not a simple disagreement. That's 2 people at the absolute end of a rope that has been fraying for years. Money in that argument, resentment in that argument, a woman who gave everything, and he's still questioning her loyalty. But here's where it gets even more shocking. The argument itself is just the beginning of the night. Blueface is grilling her about someone from her past, someone in her DMs from before the fame, before any of this. And then Jaden does something that changes everything. She pulls out receipts and runs the math on him. The dates don't add up. If his story was true, that baby would have been born in September. But the message on her screen says August. She caught him. Cold. She caught him red-handed message on the screen, dates that don't add up, and his response is textbook. Suddenly she's the problem. Suddenly she's a hoe. Suddenly he's flipping the whole conversation to put her on defense. Classic deflection, gang, you get caught, you make the other person defend themselves. But Jaden doesn't fold. She stays on the receipts. She stays on the timeline. No screaming, no throwing things. She's presenting evidence like she's in a courtroom. August is 1 month before September. She said what she said. And that's when his tone shifts. Don't talk to me like that. I don't have time. That's not a man having a conversation. That's a man who just got cornered. And when Blueface gets cornered, he doesn't walk away, he escalates. What happened after that audio ended is what led to the arrest. Let that land. This isn't a Twitter rant or an Instagram live breakdown. This is law enforcement, a booking, another mugshot from a man already on active probation. Jaden Alexis, the woman who always kept her composure, always took the high road, always stayed. Classy while the drama played out publicly, Jaden made the call. And when the calmest person in the room finally calls it in, you already know the line got crossed. Now here's where it gets legally terrifying, because this new arrest doesn't just add charges, it blows up everything. March 2023, Blueface takes a plea deal on DV charges involving Chrisean Rock, 2 years county jail, 52 weeks mandatory DV counseling, 3 years formal probation, no contact order with Chrisean. January 2024, he violates that probation, a 2021 assault case gets activated, and he catches a 4-year sentence. November 2025, he walks out after 21 months, but that probation didn't disappear. He is still under court supervision, still subject to conditions set by a judge. A new domestic incident, a new arrest while on formal probation, gang. This is not a situation where you just add charges and figure it out later. A new arrest while on probation triggers an automatic probation violation. Those suspended years that were hanging over his head, they're back on the table. The DA doesn't even have to prove the new case first, they just have to show a violation occurred. And a DV arrest with a prior DV conviction already on record? That's about as clean a probation violation as it gets. His lawyers are working overtime right now. That's not a guess, that's just math. And let's not forget Las Vegas is still sitting. There, that $14 million judgment from the Euphoria Gentlemen's Club shooting case didn't disappear while he was locked up. The interest kept growing. The debt is still alive. This man is legally boxed in from every direction simultaneously, and every single direction has his name on it because of his own choices. Because this didn't come out of nowhere, the warning signs started the minute he walked out in November 2025. The homecoming looked good on the surface. Live stream with DDG, photos with his kids, apology to the man he grazed in the Las Vegas, shooting. Fresh start energy was real, but within 24 hours, literally while the homecoming posts were still popping, Jaden found out Blueface had taken Javon and Journey to an arcade where Chrisean Rock and baby Chrisean Jr. were present. No approval, no consent. Jaden's response was immediate. I didn't approve for no crackhead to be around my kids. I'm on the way. She pulled up, got her kids, and there's footage of Chrisean and Jaden nearly coming to blows with security physically, separating them. Blueface's own mother, Carlissa, was reportedly on camera saying, "You're going to jail." The first day of his homecoming ended in a near brawl. And instead of taking accountability, Blueface went on Twitter days later, called both baby mamas mid, and said he needed to get a bad woman pregnant ASAP. He tweeted that nobody held him down while he was locked up. Meanwhile, Jaden gave him $90,000. Before he went in, raised his 2 kids for 2 years alone, never went live crying about him, never milked his situation for a reality check, went dead silent in the studio when he got sentenced. And he called her mid on Twitter. That's the disrespect sitting underneath that entire argument clip. That's why she came with receipts. That's why she didn't fold when he tried the "are you a hoe" pivot. And that's the context for everything that happened after the argument ended. Because when you line up the full timeline, this stops looking like bad luck and starts looking like a documented pattern that this man has never been fully held accountable for. 2019, Javon born, Blueface and Jaden already on and off 2021 assault. Case, probation. The exact charge that later activated his 4-year sentence August 2022 street fight with Chrisean Rock caught on surveillance in Hollywood. LAPD investigates October 2022 DV arrest after hotel incident with Chrisean, gun found, bail set at $250,000, October 2022, Las Vegas strip shooting at Euphoria Club, initially charged with attempted murder. December 2022, felony charges filed, DV, illegal firearm possession, false imprisonment. March 2023, plea deal, 2-year sentence, mandatory DV counseling, 3-year probation, no contact order with Chrisean. December 2023 Utah club event, Blueface pulls a female fan on stage, orders Jaden to fight her, physically shoves Jaden toward the woman. Salt Lake City PD investigates January 2024, turns himself in on probation violation. August 2024, 4-year sentence handed down, November 3, 2025, released after 21 months. Immediate chaos with both baby mamas. November 2025 calls both baby mamas mid on Twitter. Jaden's Baddies paycheck demand exposed publicly. 2026 argument with Jaden, physical incident, arrest. Every single year since he got famous, a new incident, a new charge, a new courtroom, a new plea deal. And every single time the system handed him an off-ramp, he used it to get right back on the same highway going the same direction. That's not bad luck. That's a pattern. Jaden never chased the bag that came from monetizing toxicity. She built her own lane music, the Baddies franchise, her brand. When Blueface was running Blue Girls Club, Jaden stayed out of it. When the Chrisean Rock reality show drama was pulling hundreds of thousands of streams, Jaden was not in those episodes. She told herself and the public she had never experienced domestic violence at his hands. And we believed her because she presented herself as the stable one, the co-parent, the professional. But what the $90,000 situation revealed, what that argument clip reveals, is that the control was always there, just quieter. It was financial. It was the demand she hand over her income, the expectation that even while raising his kids alone, she still owed him something. That's not co-parenting. That's possession. The fact that she finally spoke up about the Baddies, Paycheck demand publicly in April 2026 tells you she is done managing this man's reputation, done being the composed good baby mama, done eating it in silence. That argument clip is the sound of a woman who decided she's not protecting him anymore. And his response, according to that arrest, was to make it physical. Here's the real problem, gang. Every time a situation like this goes viral, the culture splits. Half says free him, half says lock him up, and the woman involved becomes a secondary character in a story that is actually about her. Jaden Alexis is not a supporting character. She is a mother who has been in orbit around a man with a documented criminal history of violence, convicted of domestic violence, court-ordered to complete a full year of DV counseling, that by all available evidence did not do what it was supposed to do. Because if it had, we would not be here. The courts gave him counseling. The industry gave him platforms. The fans gave him streams and free Blueface hashtags. And Jaden gave him 90 racks, 2 kids, and years of her life. And Blueface walked back onto stages, into studios, onto reality shows between every single mugshot, no interruption, no real accountability, no consequence that actually reached him. The streaming numbers didn't drop. The features kept coming. The club appearances kept booking because the industry doesn't care about Jaden Alexis or her kids. The industry cares about content, drama, and clicks. And we, as an audience, have to ask ourselves whether we are part of that machine or not. Because every time we share the argument clips and arrest headlines as entertainment rather than documentation of real harm, we are telling the women involved that their pain is background music. That's not how we should be moving. And this is not just about Blueface, he's the example, not the exception. Think about how this whole situation was packaged from the jump. Blue Girls Club women competing for a man's attention on camera. Crazy in Love, a reality show built on a documented volatile relationship between Blueface and Chrisean Rock. Zeus Network cuts a check, sponsors come in, millions of views, everybody eating. And at no point did any network executive, any label, head, any manager stop and say, wait, this woman has visible injuries on camera and we are monetizing that. Nobody said it because that would have been bad for business. That is exactly what the machine looks like. It doesn't announce itself, doesn't come with a warning label, it just finds the most pain, packages it the cleanest, and sells it to you, with a thumbnail and a runtime. Now here's where I'm challenging the real ones watching this, because I know most of you were watching this content the same way you watch a car crash. You don't want anyone hurt, but something in the brain locks on before you can look away. That's human. That's biology. But here's the difference between us and the machine. We can choose what we do after we look. The machine chose to profit. We can choose to understand. Jaden Alexis made music, built a brand, raised children, did everything the culture tells women to do to be taken seriously, stayed composed, stayed professional, kept the drama off her page, and she still ended up in a domestic incident with the father of her kids. Because composure doesn't protect you from a man who has decided he's above consequence. Jaden was all of those things: quiet, classy, composed, never on live every 5 minutes. And she is still here in this story. So what does that tell us about the system that was supposed to protect her? The court-ordered counseling that didn't stick. The probation conditions that didn't hold. The industry relationships that kept his calendar full between every mugshot. The fans who kept the streams running and the comments full of free him energy, while the women in his orbit were living with the consequences. We built that. All of us together built that. And the only way to unbuild it is to start treating these situations for what they actually are: not content, not beef, not drama, not tea evidence. Documentation. A paper trail of what happens when a culture decides an artist's notoriety is worth more than the safety of the women connected to him. Jaden Alexis deserves better from every institution that touched this situation. The courts, the industry, the internet, all of it. And the least we can do right now is tell her story correctly. So let me close this the right way, because when I say it's over in the title, I mean it on every level. For Blueface, a new DV arrest while actively on probation from a prior DV conviction does not play well in any courtroom in America. The suspended time, the prior plea deal, the documented pattern, all of it goes in front of a judge. And this time, there are no more off-ramps. Every card has been played. For Jaden Alexis, this is the moment she stops being the other baby mama in the Blueface story and starts being recognized as the most important chapter in it. She held it together. She raised the children. She kept building even after he called her mid on Twitter. She didn't react with drama, she reacted with evidence. And when he crossed the line, she said she would not tolerate, she called it in. That is not weakness. That is strength. For the culture, Jaden Alexis is not background. She is the main character of her own story. A woman who spent years composed, professional, and private, who finally decided that composure doesn't mean staying silent when the line gets crossed. And if you've made it this far, you already know what time it is. Drop a comment, share this with someone who needs the full picture, and make sure her story is told right.